snags. You know, he is, weight-wise, he's a little bit thinner, but he's not a small guy by any means, So he's got good length. He's got a good catch radius. He'll go up and make good snags. And then even for being like maybe a thinner guy, he runs tough. And, I mean, he's not afraid to lower his shoulder and fight for extra yards. So that's something that kind of stands out as well.
Could you tell us the intrigue from kind of Andy and Brett just in the beginning process of when they started watching him on film?
Yeah, I mean, you see, like we just talked about, you see the speed, you see the route running. So just having another weapon like that in this offense gets everybody excited.
What's it say about the league that first, 14 picks on offensive players?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's just, like to say the league, people need to score points, and there's a lot of good talent in this draft. So guys are just going up to get their guys to, put up as many points as as they can, and also we were looking to do as well. So yeah.
Andy and Brett mentioned a lot about the makeup of Worthy and the character. What did you learn on the ground?
Yeah, so I mean, this guy loves football. They tell you before practice, like, this is the first guy out every day catching extra balls on the jugs, last guy off. And then sure enough, when you go out to practice yourself, we get out there before, players start coming on the field. And every time I'd go through there, he'd be the first guy coming out. So it's like, all right, yeah, everything they're telling you is actually checking out. So that's kind of exciting to see that, and just seeing him wanting to put in that work, wanting to put in that effort just to be the best player that he can be.
What do you notice about just his intelligence in the game? Can you get a grasp of his ability to grasp things?
Yeah, I mean, he picks things up really well. You can definitely see that. I mean, obviously through the interview process when, you put him on the board and everything, but then also when you watch the tape, like just seeing his route feel, seeing him being able to set up defenders and, being able to separate and get open, that all comes with his overall football intelligence. So that's just something that, you talk to him, you get, but then also watching the tape, you see as well.
Back to I'm sorry, was it man and zone? We're talking
yeah. Nope.
Back to Wiley for a second.
Mm-hmm.
He had 5 years of college, right? 3 at Texas and
Mm-hmm.
TCU. So he comes in pretty mature guy. Does that work to his advantage coming in, especially the position he plays?
Yeah, I think so. Tight end, and I mean, he was, quarterback in high school, so kind of making that transition. There's a lot to do as a tight end when it comes to, running your routes, working on route refinement, but then also the blocking aspect. So, I mean, the fact that he's done it for as many years as he has, and it's not like he's old, especially, with college football right now, a lot of guys are even older than him coming out. So the fact that he played 5 years, and especially with the draft class that we have right now, he's the oldest guy of the group so far. And that's not saying he's old, but yeah, I mean, I think just having that experience will definitely help him when he comes in here day one.
You see side as a primary of the blocker, but what do you kind of see about him as just the upside as a pass catcher?
Yeah, I mean, that was something that actually kind of stood out watching him last year. Was like, because you do see this bigger tight end, so you kind of expect more of the block and everything, but he's kind of sneaky. Like he ran really well, he tested well, but you also see that speed on tape. You see the ability to separate versus linebackers. You see that route feel versus both man and zone. But that was something I feel like was kind of under the radar because he is a bigger guy. You expect him maybe just to be more of a blocker. But then once you see him getting open, making catches, and be able to make plays after the catch in the open field, that's something that you kind of get excited about for sure.
As a receiver, do you see any similarities between him and Noah Gray?
I mean, I feel like they're two different types of players, they're both good receivers, I think, just going back to Wiley, though, he is a bigger guy. He's got a big catch radius, you know what I mean? So he can go up and make some good contested catches, not afraid to be physical at the point, making the catch. So, yeah, I mean, just excited about him.
This will be up to the coaching staff. You get the sense that he could be a red zone target at least, and some action right away.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he's got the size for sure. Jump ball guy, mismatch, yeah.
I mean, he'll be kind of pretty steep there with them trying to do much special teams at the Texas and TCU.
Yeah, I know he'll definitely contribute in that role. He's got the size, he's got the speed, so he'll be able to come in and definitely help out in that. Yeah.
Thanks.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey,
What's up? How's it
Hey,
going?
Greg Castillo, Hawkeye.
You see the punter drafting the fourth round? That's kind of what we do. What's that? No, I was Chicago.
So he said he can talk to you about two guys because he also had our guy Kingsley from last night. So go ahead, fire away.
Yeah, fire away. Who do you want to talk about first?
Kingsley.
Yeah, what was the first thing you noticed about Kingsley going from obviously Oregon to BYU? And I guess, did you guys project him to maybe be a left tackle even before he started in that role last year?
So when I first noticed Kingsley was in 2022 when he was at BYU, and he was playing predominantly right tackle. And what I fell in love with was the athleticism. And Borgo hit on it last night. I mean, this guy is an excellent athlete at 320, 325 pounds. And when you look at the technique, when you look at his pass sets, it was pretty clear that he could play left tackle. And I think he showed that this past year, not only during the year and also at the Senior Bowl. And I think that's the most impressive thing about him is like at the Senior Bowl, he was playing left during the game, left tackle, and then the next series right tackle. And that's rare to find. So he stood out in 2022 for me.
Just given the fact that he had some maybe like initial interest, and you look at some of that stuff.
It was. I mean, you bet on the bloodlines. You know, it's in his blood, and absolutely, I think when you look at the family background, you definitely weigh it quite a bit, in my opinion.
When you look at Jaden Hicks, when you were scouting, did you think he would fall to the fourth round? I mean, just a lot of experts have predicted him as early as like a second, potentially early third round pick. Were you surprised to a lot of opportunity out of him in the fourth round?
I was surprised, and I'm happy he did because he fell to us, and I think with Spags and Donald, they're going to utilize his skill set very well. He's very versatile. He can play at the linebacker depth. He can play the deep middle free safety. He can play the half. He can play quarters, and he did that at Washington State too. So, I mean, he could do a lot, and he can do a lot effectively, and that's what we're looking for.
Did you see him and Watson on the field together when they were?
So he redshirted. I think it's in 21. So he was a redshirt in 21, but he was with Jalen for that 1 year. Yep.
Trying to find anything that was wrong with Jane about why he might fall. The only thing I read was a scouting report that, he might grow out of the safety position, because he's still a young guy. Is that a legitimate concern for you? Or?
Well, I know, for us, it was not a concern. I think sometimes what happens is there's a difference of opinion between the media and the way scouts see things. And I think that may be it here. And ultimately, he is a good football player. And like I said, he can do things well in multiple spots. And we're lucky we got him.
Do you see him as sort of a hybrid to some degree, or maybe like a rotational safety who could play multiple positions?
Yeah, you know what? So the way we do it, you split strong and free. And I think the best thing about this guy is you can argue strong, you can argue free. He can do both. And that's the best thing about him is he can roll down and play in the box, close to the line of scrimmage. He can play over the slot. He can play man coverage against tight ends, man coverage against receivers. Just like the effective versatility that he brings to us, it's hard to find, especially in that value. End of the fourth round, absolutely.
Just following up on the scout side part of it, you must like, Ben, when maybe the media is more down on a guy than what you might like, is wouldn't that necessarily give you more opportunity to go and get him in this case?
I guess, sure. And at the same time, teams see what teams see. Teams value different things. So sure, the media plays a little bit of influence to it. And at the end of the day, the teams are going to trust their scouts and their grades.
Were you able to talk to Hicks?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Greg, I'm just going to ask, what was, considering we all thought he was not going to be in the fourth round, you guys are surprised too. Just what was his overall demeanor, understanding why, or maybe not why he slid, but obviously going to a very good team?
You know what? So I didn't get to talk to him personally before the pick. But just talking to people he's close with, I know there was a little bit of maybe disappointed because he was an early declarant. And at the end of the day, just his makeup and his personality, he's about proving people right, proving himself right versus proving people wrong. So just his mentality is going to work out great. And I think if anything, he's going to use this as a chip on his shoulder.
I want to ask you something just about scouting.
Yeah, of course.
Has NIL and the COVID year, free transfers, and all the things that have changed over the last couple of years, has that affected the challenge of scouting? And if so, how?
For sure. It definitely changed the landscape. And what you find is whenever you walk into a school, I mean, these lists that they give us, I mean, they're like 25, 30 players. And when you walk into a school like Oregon, Oregon State, Washington State in the same week, like it adds up rather quickly. So what it emphasizes for us is like how you use your time management. And if anything, that's how it's changed quite a bit, just the NIL landscape for us, just the pure numbers. And even with the underclassmen, you saw it decrease by like half this year. And I imagine that going to continue to happen throughout the next couple of years.
I just wanted to ask you a general question. Being
Yeah.
in the room or whatever, you know, when a guy like this is available, he's one of your guys, you might be surprised he's available in the fourth round. I mean, are you pretty vocal in that moment saying that this like, how does that unfold in this situation?
Yeah, no, listen, we had our chance to be vocal. At this point, you know, we trust Veach. And to his credit, like the patience that he's displayed throughout this whole process has been A+. So we've had our chance to fight for our guys. And so I just sit back and trust in Veach.
Going back to Kingsley,
Yeah.
I know he has a few inconsistencies that Mike addressed kind of last night, but just are those things that you think Andy can kind of just touch up a little bit? Are they that kind of drastic?
Well, here's my thing. What I look for in offensive lineman, and listen, my dad's been an O-line coach for years. So one thing that he preached to me was like big, strong, long, and athletic. And Kingsley, to me, checked all those boxes, and it was pretty clear that he did. Now, listen, a lot of these guys, when you look at all these offensive linemen, at some point they're going to need a little cleanup when it comes to technique. If not all of them, most of them are going to need technique cleanup. And he falls into that category. Yeah, is it more than most? Maybe so. And the good thing is that Kingsley is very coachable, and he'll respond well to being coached hard.
When you were at the combine, did you have any inkling? Did you guys have any idea it was going to be a run on offensive players the way it was?
You know, maybe not to this extent. When you look at the board, though, you definitely saw there was a favor offensively versus defensively. So maybe it wasn't was it the first 14 picks were offensive guys until Latu at 15. You had a good idea, but still, you're like, at some point, a defensive player has to go. So to some extent.
Okay, thanks very much.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Shuffle up.